I think we all know people who have money but can't hold it, or people who can do massively good things on seemingly very little money.
I had always just believed that money was this very sterile thing. It existed. Some people had more of it. Some people had less of it.
On this conscious level, we have this idea of, I want to have lots of money, or I want to have an ideal partner like this. And then when we think about it twice, there's another part of us, another level of us that's like, why do I deserve to have that amount of money?
Hi, Melissa.
Hi, CJ.
It's so lovely to see you again.
Lovely to see you too.
You are the reason that we are here on this pod talking about what we are talking about.
I feel honored. Thank you.
I feel honored to know you. Melissa and I met in 2021, as I said, and I attended one of her online money activation workshops, which came into my lap completely by chance. It wasn't something I was searching for at all. Just in a very casual conversation, it was mentioned that this workshop would be happening in a few days. It was free, which suited my budget at the time, which is still the same budget that I have. And I decided to tune in, not actually having any clue about what was to come. I had always just believed that money was this very sterile thing. It existed. Some people had more of it. Some people had less of it. Like any kind of sport or activity, some people are better at it. Some people are just not. And I thought I was simply in the not. And that was just my temperament. That was just who I am. And that maybe perhaps with time as I got older, that would change. And maybe I would get better at budgeting. Maybe I would understand how to invest properly. But every time I kind of tried, it felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. And it felt like my mind became this like running Benny Hill soundtrack. It's just like my brain was melting every time I thought about money, every time I wanted to get better at money. It just seems like such a foreign concept to my actual existence. So Melissa, how do you work in this space?
Well, actually, I'm curious as to what that workshop shifted for you in terms of how you thought about money, because you said that it was just like a kind of a thing that some people are good at and some people aren't. What did the workshop make you realize?
Well, the workshop was only 1 hour, and within that hour, you made me cry, which I was not expecting. Look, that workshop was in 2021, and so it was quite a few years ago, but the emotions that I felt in that workshop are still very real. Like an anvil had dropped on my heart and made me realize things that I'd never before. Sometimes when you have to accept something, it can hurt quite a bit. And it hurt me that I had such an emotional trauma attached to money, especially because I'd never thought about that. I never thought that I was emotionally traumatized by money or the experiences I'd had growing up with money, the conversations, the culturally, what I'd noticed around me. And it wasn't just me.
Yeah, there would have been close to 30, and some people tuned in we had people from Europe, but also in the United States, Australia, and even Bangkok, where it was like 4 or 5 a.m. That time. So yeah, people were very dedicated to showing up for the workshop, and I'm very grateful for that.
I think we're all very grateful that you held the workshop to begin with. I don't know why I don't have, maybe because we went into breakout rooms or something. But yeah, there was just a bunch of people, none of whom I knew except you, who I'd met in person a couple of times. But I remember the first person who started to be very emotionally vulnerable. I think she must have already been aware that these traumas, were in her. And when she started crying, I was thinking, oh, this is going in a very different direction. I thought it was about like how to get rich, how you're going to it was the opposite of that. Because actually what I realized during that workshop is there are a lot of foundational things you need to address before you can actually invite more money into your life. And it's about like understanding your worthiness. Am I worthy of actually allowing money to come in the door? Are you looking after your money hygiene? Just like your everyday hygiene, making your bed in the morning, brushing your teeth, taking a shower, washing your clothes. If those similar principles are not applied to money or that whole, ecosystem, you are kidding yourself, or not kidding yourself. It makes sense now. I saw why I was being held back or why I was holding myself back. So I think about that workshop and I tell people about it. Now, have I adopted every single thing that you said? No, but even consciously being aware of it, I know I've been better since then. But I know I have a really long journey to go on. But I'd like to thank you again. I know I've done this a lot before, but I wanted to publicly announce that you're the reason why we're here today, why I now realize that I have a lot to learn. And yeah, I think the work that you do is fantastic. And, you truly allow people and give people the space to see themselves and to grow.
Awesome. That's really good to hear.
So if we can talk a little bit about the work that you do, and I mean, even a little bit about how you came into this kind of work.
Yeah. So maybe how the workshop was different from something that you might see offered by, I don't know, continuing education or in a community college or something, is that it had nothing to do with budgeting and nothing to do with kind of like looking at specific numbers or seeing where you can save more or earn more. It was more about the energetics behind money and the emotions and beliefs behind money. So as you said, starting from that very foundation of you and who you are and how you are with money, how you show up in a relationship with money. So how you're presenting yourself in that relationship. So are you a person who's always controlling? Are you freaking out around when your partner, money, isn't there? Are you freaking out about that? Do you need to like text and call all the time? And if they don't respond, then you get really anxious. It's kind of this sort of relationship with money, which is what we examined in the second half of the workshop, where I took people on a guided hypnosis journey so that they could meet the way that they conceive money in the subconscious mind. And that can often bring up things that we didn't realize consciously in terms of how we think about money, how we treat money, how we act around money, and our sort of money habits, but most of all, the emotions that we have towards money and its role in our life and our role in money's life.
Yeah. No, it was brilliant. I remember it was broken up into 2 segments, but within that first segment, there were quite a few things that we went through. There was where you gave some practical tips about how to boost your relationship with money.
Yeah. So the practical tips were, again, more on the energetic and emotional side and less on the specific techniques around money, because I think that you can take the action steps, but that will only get you so far if the underlying subconscious programming and energy and emotion around money isn't solid and welcoming and open and loving. So we talked about your money hygiene. So creating a good space for your money, a really welcoming home for your money, making sure that your purse or wallet is in good condition, that you don't have a bunch of screwed up receipts inside your wallet, because receipts represent money that you have already given away. And in particular, why are you holding on to those for so long that they kind of make your wallet really fat and burst at the seams? And then the receipts inside get old and dirty. So you kind of like your money home, it's full of junk. When you get to declutter a room or your home, that it just feels so much more spacious. And when there's more space, you can invite more in a more intentional way. Yeah. But if your wallet is already full of receipts, where's the space for the money?
That's such a simple exercise. And it's so funny because I've talked about this with other people, and some people are like, I don't even have a wallet. Like, my wallet is my phone, or my wallet is this. My friend showed me it was like a detached part of an old bag, and it was like a billion years old and like really dirty and just like a bit raggedy. And then I look at my wallet, and I should probably have brought it up here, but it's covered in pen marks. It has those old receipts. You know, every few months I'll be like, oh my gosh, I need to like make sure it looks pretty. So I'll put all the cards in their little, sections. And then within a week, oh, it's a mess again, and I have old currency that, like, why haven't I just put that away somewhere? Like, am I traveling to different continents, in the blink of an, I'm not, right? So that also shows like the
Mhm.
cluttering. Um, it's almost like having 100 tabs open
Yeah,
on your browser, but you don't
yeah,
need them. And ones that you've already closed down, but they're just hanging around like a bad smell. So I think
yeah.
that is such a simple way to look at it.
Yeah, and that applies to every part of the everything related to money as well. So on a previous workshop that was similar to that one participant had said that she doesn't really spend much in cash. She only has cards, and I said that's fine. You don't have to necessarily keep cash inside your wallet, but have a look at your cards. And she's like, oh yeah, I have two bank cards. And, one of these bank cards is in really good condition and the other one's old and tatty. I've had it for years.
Yeah.
It's about to expire. And actually, that's the bank account that always gives me issues. Whereas the one with the pristine card was her preferred account that tended to have more money in it. And that she hadn't had any sort of administration problems with. So, yeah, that energy carries.
When you declutter your space, your mind does feel better. Why do people do a spring clean? Because they want to go into the new cycle fresh, light, happy. So if you're like carrying this weight around, of course it makes sense. It's going to hold you back a little bit. And I think the other part of the exercise, oh yeah, so that the three practical tips. So one was the wallet or the money home.
Yeah.
And what were the other ones that you?
Then we looked at you and your inherent worthiness. So, who you are, what makes you unique, and why you deserve to have money with, like, just for being you. That doesn't mean I deserve to have money because I have a bachelor degree or a master's degree or because I have 10 years of experience in a certain industry. What makes you worthy of having something that supports your life to continue to live just because you exist, just because you're here, because of the other qualities, that you're a good person, that you would use this money to help yourself and help others. We looked at that kind of worthiness of being able to have money. And again, this relates to, in terms of that worthiness, and the fact that we can do techniques, we can do action steps that will get us more money. So some people are able to, they have a business and they are able to earn a lot. But what happens if that inherent worthiness isn't there is that they'll earn a lot and then they'll end up spending it. And
Yeah.
every time they earn a lot, they'll find themselves spending it and they can't help themselves. It's just because their money container is small. So it expands, but that expansion feels very uncomfortable. And so they go back to their natural set point. And we talk about the same concept in terms of weight. If your self concept is that you are a certain weight, then even when you lose weight, you can do the techniques to lose weight, but people often end up back at that starting point or in a slightly worse place after a few months or years, because that's where their self-concept lies. So if your self-concept is a person who doesn't deserve to have increasing amounts of wealth, or a person who doesn't deserve to hold money or to create investments or to have, X amount in savings, then it will be very hard for you to hold that.
That resonates so much because I do feel like even when I've earned more money or come into money, I still somehow end up, you're always slightly better, right? As you get older, of course, the place you live in is nicer, the food you buy, the clothes, but like it's always at a certain level. And as soon as I have money, it's like, oh, it just disappears, And I've always just thought that was me. I was kind of like a half glass full kind of person. But it does seem to be that it doesn't matter how much you earn, how educated you are. You mentioned, that doesn't give you a right to hold more money, because there are people I know who don't earn a big salary, but they are so good with their money. They're so
Mm-hmm.
efficient with it. They're so knowledgeable about how to retain the money you have, but also grow it. You don't have to, like, the money that comes into your life doesn't have to be a lot, but it's knowing
Yeah.
what to do with it and treat
Yeah.
it respectfully. And that's where I think, like, money and I, we don't respect each other. And it took me a long time to realize that, because you don't personify money, right? But actually, it is a relationship.
I think we all know people who have money but can't hold it, or people
Yes.
who can do massively good things on seemingly very little money.
Yeah, I
And so,
totally
yeah,
agree.
it isn't just about how much you're earning. It's definitely about, all the stuff that's going on underneath.
That a lot of people are not aware is holding them back.
Is like 80% of the equation, really.
Damn. Okay, it's like you can exercise as much as you want, but if your diet is nonsense, as they say,
Yeah.
you're going to be in the same position. And I liked your analogy about like, when people get to their desired body type, but if they still see themselves as that previous person, that's where they will go back to because it's their comfort level.
Mm.
So it's a really smart point. And what was the third part of the practical tip?
So the third exercise we did was about money flow, and so just feeling really good about money beliefs and money concepts, and kind of showering yourself with positive affirmations around money and why you deserve to have money. But those are just 3 very, very small exercises in a big world of money. It was kind of just to give a taste of things that people might not have thought about, ways that people might never have thought about money, and a few ways to sort of spark that transformation to have a different perspective or a different relationship with money before going into that guided hypnosis journey.
And I think the third component of that, which was the affirmations and talking about why you deserve money and all that, that's where we went into the break rooms. Is that correct?
Yeah, we did.
That was highly uncomfortable.
And it was supposed to be.
It was, firstly, with people I don't know, which is probably a good thing, right? Generally, you can sometimes be a lot more open because you have no, like, I don't have to prove anything to you. But I remember we all felt very awkward about, like, if we all want more money in general, like, if that's the general concept, why are we so awkward with saying why?
Mm-hmm.
And it
Yeah.
was like, because I work hard and I went to university and, I deserve it, but you're not actually saying anything.
Yeah. So if we go back to that relationship analogy, it's like when we are single and looking for, a potential partner, and we might even make either a mental list or write out a list of qualities that we would love to have in our perfect or ideal future partner. And we could list, 50 qualities that we'd love for them to have. And then a friend of mine did this, and she looked at the list again and went, oh, but if he was all of these things, why on earth would he go out with someone like me?
Oh my gosh.
So that's where we have, on this conscious level, we have this idea of, I want to have lots of money, or I want to have an ideal partner like this. And then when we think about it twice, there's another part of us, another level of us that's like, oh, but actually I don't feel worthy of having that. Or why would they go out with me? Why would they hang out with me? Why would they like me? Why do I deserve to have that amount of money?
And I feel like when it comes to that example, which is actually brilliant, in that sense, even though, she wasn't thinking about, a specific person, it was just this concept of a partner. It's still a tangible thing, right? So we can go like, why would this beautiful sculptured person,
Yeah.
physically and, internally want me? But
Yeah.
money, we don't look at it like that, but actually we should.
Yeah.
All those qualities that you put onto a physical person, think about money that way. Like,
Mm-hmm.
money gives you this freedom, it gives you this, it gives you that, it can make your life this, it can offer you and your community, your family, all these things. But internally, if you actually don't believe that you deserve that or you can do great things with it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. And here's the thing, we often think about what money should be doing for us. So if I have more money, then I can do this. If I have more money, then I will feel like this. So if I had a boyfriend, then I would feel happy.
Right.
But you should feel happy first, right? And then we need to think about the other way around. So actually, what would you bring to the relationship? Why should money hang out with you? So how are you going to treat money when it comes into your life? I'm inviting more money into my life because I'm going to take good care of you. I'm going to give you a beautiful home. I'm going to treasure you. I'm going to make sure that you are always comfortable, that you have a space to grow, that you're allowed to evolve, that sometimes you're going to have good days and sometimes you're going to have bad days, and that's okay. It's always safe to be in my realm. So come on in. It's a nice party over here. You like really nice, welcoming atmosphere.
I'm like welling up.
So that can happen also, like when you check your bank account, and instead of checking your bank account or opening your app with fear or with trepidation or with, oh my God, it's going to be another one of those months where I'm just scraping the bottom of the barrel. If you're opening it up like, hey, money, here's a really nice home. I'm going to look after you. I'm going to check up on you like every couple of days and just make sure that you're okay. Make sure that nothing weird has happened in there. It's a safe place to be. Come hang out in my bank account. It's going to be great. Then that's a different way to think about money, the same money that you have.
Like it's a nurturing space rather than a scary space, because I think it's even that speaking to your plants nicely versus like condemning them.
Totally.
It's like that simple exercise. Like, what harm does it do?
Yeah.
Putting positive affirmations to something like that. And I think, look, I also think that we suffer from like economic oppression that is around us, the cost of living and all that. There are things that like are outside of our control. But what you made me realize is that there is so much in our control. And does it hurt to employ these techniques? Yeah. Absolutely not. It costs nothing. It does nothing. You will automatically find the benefits in other parts of your life, because generally bringing in more positivity, bringing in more gratitude just makes you feel better.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm not here to tell you how to budget your money. I'm just here to tell people that they can be better than they are, even without going deep into a spreadsheet and getting really, bamboozled by it.
Yeah.
And you're here to also enlighten us about that as well.
Yeah. So I seem to recall that the money workshop kind of brought to the surface a few beliefs that you had around money that you'd never really thought were beliefs of yours, or you'd never kind of consciously thought, I have certain thoughts or beliefs around money. I wonder, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about money? Maybe if you want to tap into the CJ of 3 years ago, that could help. It might still be CJ today. But what would be some thoughts or beliefs you have around money?
Stress. Okay. Tension. There's a lot of stress, tension. I find money very weird. I don't like it. I feel very uncomfortable talking about money. I feel very uncomfortable. Like in my personal relationships, I don't like things being like split down the middle or anything. I just want it to be like, we all just like, split the, like, and, when I say split down the middle, I mean like, talking about money with description. I just want it to be done. Like, let's just pay the bill, get out of here. In relationships, I even with the people I trust most, I really don't like talking about money. I think it makes people weird. I still hold those beliefs. Now, they were probably different 3 years ago, but they haven't changed so much. There's still a lot of stress, anxiety, fear, awkwardness around money. Definitely.
Yeah. So that's a good revelation of feelings that you have around money or the thought of money. What are some kind of stories that you have around money? Like, money is evil, or money makes relationships complicated, or kind of sentences like that?
Oh, I definitely think money makes people in general really weird. I very much hate how people can use money as like a hierarchy over one another, like I'm better than you, or I hold the power. And perhaps that's something that even as a child I saw between my parents, like how they spoke about money between one another and how much tension. I mean, I think some of my first memories of money are about them arguing about it.
So would you say money allows you to misuse power?
Misuse power to, yep, definitely. Money automatically is a tension point for me, because those were my first memories, It wasn't just two people having a normal conversation about how to manage their money or what to do with it. And I'm sure those conversations happened too, but the ones that happened that I remember, 30 something plus years later are those ones. And those are the ones that have formed my relationship. And then, if my parents had a bit of money, especially my mom, she might overcompensate.
Yeah.
Right. So then money also meant that when you have it, you just spend it because it makes you feel good and you can shower the people that you love and make them feel good. So then there's trauma, but then there's also like happiness that can be bought with money. And you just like, as soon as you have it, you let it go into the world because, it creates happiness, which is also not great. So the concept of
Mm.
saving money, like my dad was good at saving money, but
So
I don't
spending
know.
money creates happiness.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. That was something that I saw. And, even if you don't have a lot of it, when you do have it, if you spend it, it gives you opportunities. It, allows you to do things. And I very much am a live in the moment kind of person. As I've been told once before, you're the kind of person, if you have $10 in your account, you'll be like, woo, let's go out, let's get some food, let's get a drink. Whereas my sister on the other side, I've always admired her approach to money, which she definitely spends, but she's much more meticulous. She's much more careful with her money and she has a much healthier money mindset than I do. Interestingly, we came from the same family. Our parents
Yeah.
were together. We grew up in the same household. So how come we are so different when it comes to money?
Yeah.
This has always troubled me.
That's a really great question. And I mean, from the work that I do, it would be, the explanation would be that as a child, we're all individuals and we pick up different things. We choose to focus on different beliefs from our siblings. So you can pick up the same things as your siblings, or you might pick up you might interpret certain actions in different ways, or they might affect you in different ways, which will then affect your actions going forward. One of the things that we can do to start that changing that perspective around money is first to what we did, bring those beliefs to the surface. We just reflect on some of the beliefs, the money stories that you brought up that are in your current world of money makes people weird. Money allows you to misuse power. Money is a tension point, and spending money creates happiness. Can you see how those stories have led you to have the life that you've had so far, or the relationship you've had so far with money?
Yeah, definitely. And again, why am I only discovering this in my 30s? Why has it taken me
Better
this
late
long
than
to
never.
realize? No, it is better late than never. And I hope that other people, regardless of where they are in their life or journey of this money activation, that we're all doing, hopefully, it's not too late. You can
Mm.
get there. And it's just about like realizing that because I think when we look at those kind of traumas, we see them as more emotional things. Like, okay, I have to overcome the emotional trauma of seeing my parents fighting or not always having enough money or this and that. But actually, it can relate to so much more. And
Yeah.
it's this like my relationship with money. When you put those things together, oh my days, of course.
Yeah. So if we take a more positive spin on that, what kinds of thoughts do you imagine that your sister has around money? What do you think her money stories are, despite the fact that you grew up with the same parents in the same household? What do you think would be some of her money stories?
Oh, that's an excellent point. So one thing I remember, look, I don't know, but one thing I remember, so say as an example, if my parents gave us each $10, I would 100% go and spend it. If she was given a little bit of money, she would like squirrel this like, the coins into different pockets and keep it around her room. Right? This was just her. She
Okay.
always had pockets of money around her room. This was from when she was really, really young. No one told her to do this. I don't know where she got this from. This was the 90s, early 2000s. There wasn't the internet. There was no one on TikTok
Yeah.
saying this is the best way to, keep your money away. This is just her to a person, to a T. And I think she has a very freeing relationship with money. And I don't know where it comes from, but I think she sees money as an opportunity. I think she sees it as growth. I think she sees it as the means to get you somewhere else. And that somewhere else is somewhere very positive. So yeah,
Mm.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know what her money history is, to be honest.
Well, I
We've
mean, it
never
would be,
really talked about it.
yeah, really great thing to ask her, actually, because
Yeah, it would
that
be.
could really reveal so much. Now, she might not have ever thought about that consciously, but if you
Probably.
do that exercise with her and bring that to light, you'll probably see that her top 5 statements lead to exactly the life that she has now, just as you've seen that the top 5 statements that you had, the stories that you had around money, kind of, it makes sense why you feel this way. So I'm going to suggest, but I don't know, I actually have no idea what Rio's money stories are, but I just think about Rio as a kid, and then I would come up with 2 statements like, it feels great to save money.
Yeah.
I love I love having pockets of money all around me. I
Makes me
love
feel safe.
saving
Yeah.
for a rainy day, this kind of thing. And then you can see how that feeds in. A little practical transition there. If we were to reprogram your brain to have different thoughts. Now, I don't say that your sister's thoughts around money or stories around money are good and yours are bad. So we don't really label it that way. We just say, are these thoughts or beliefs, are they useful for where I want to be, or are they not useful? So if they're not useful, then we want to release those thoughts and transform them into something else. So if you were to pick one of those stories, money makes people weird, or money allows you to misuse power, money is a tension point, or spending money creates happiness. If I get you, CJ, to just pick one of those that we're going to flip on its head, which one would you pick just for the exercise?
The misuse of power.
Money allows you to misuse power.
I really dislike that one person having more money gives them, or, sometimes, not everyone feels this way, but sometimes gives them the thought that they are better than somebody else, or that they, are deserving of more things. I hate this.
Okay,
generally.
fair point. And so if you are afraid that money allows you to misuse power or to feel that you're higher up on the hierarchy, and that's not something that you want to be in, would it be fair to say that on a subconscious level, you wouldn't want to have a lot of money because you would be afraid that that will allow you to misuse power? Whereas if you stay small with money, then you also stay small with power, and then you don't get to misuse it.
Oh my gosh, nail on the head, because I don't even like getting pedicures, because I don't even like the thought that I'm above somebody while they are like below me, touching my feet and scraping so I have a real issue with that. Genuinely, this is why I don't get pedicures, even though I actually genuinely enjoy them, because I have this issue with like subservience, or someone thinking that I feel like I'm better than them. It's really weird. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Even though you're paying for a service and it's a service that they've offered, so we assume that they're happy to carry out that service in exchange for money because they've offered to do that. So you're actually kind of giving someone a job that they want to do.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to look at it. Yes, no, you're completely right. You're completely right.
This is really fascinating. Anyway, so going back to that belief that money allows you to misuse power, there are 2 things that we can look at. So first is that belief 100% true 100% of the time?
No.
Can you give me some examples that you know of people who have money but don't misuse their power, or people who misuse their power who don't actually really have that much money?
Ooh, that's a good question. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I mean, obviously there are lots of people who have money and use it for good, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are
Yeah.
lots of people, but then I guess what I look out for is the people who aren't doing that, because I do have an issue with it. People who, it's even in the dating pool, right? When you go on a date with somebody and they don't talk nicely to the service staff, right? It's like, what makes you better than that person just because they're the people serving you your drinks or your food or cleaning up the dishes from under you? I always watch out for how, and not just like when I'm on a date, the people that I'm interacting with
For sure.
do you treat people as equals? And I think I have a real sense of like equality with things and justice. So I feel like when I see injustice and in that kind of way, and I see money is used as a power card a lot.
Yeah. Now, some people are rude to waiters And it's
So
not
rude.
relevant to how
Yeah.
much they actually have, how much money they have. So if you
Yeah.
could disconnect those two things, like the money is one thing and being rude is another thing. And
True.
being rude isn't in direct correlation to how much money that you have or don't have. Because there are, let's be honest, there are wankers at any income level.
Yeah, you can be a wanker at the bottom, at the top, in the middle, everywhere. Yeah, no, you're right. It doesn't matter how much. It's also about the perception that you have money when you don't, and using that against people, which is sometimes even worse than actually having the money. Anyway, it's bad.
Yeah, yeah. And so the second thing that we can look at, apart from, is this belief 100% true 100% of the time? And if not, okay, currently you're focusing on every time that you see a misuse of power and it being linked to wealth, but you can also choose to see instances of a good use of power that is also linked to wealth. Or you can look at how misuse of power can happen even by people that don't have money,
Yeah,
so that we can
regardless.
disconnect those two things. Generally, what we look for, we tend to find. If you're primed to look for certain things, if you're
100%.
already going into a date thinking that this person isn't for you, you're going to find all the things that are really bad about them. If you're going into a date thinking this could be the one, then you're going to pick up on a lot of really good qualities and maybe even ignore some of the not so great qualities because you're just so set on this is going to be the one.
It's so true.
Yeah.
So
So
true.
the second thing is if you continue to hold this belief that money equals misuse of power, what will it cost you in your life?
Oh.
I'm just going to give you some follow-up questions. So
Okay.
what will happen if you continue to think that for all of your life? And what won't happen if you continue to think of that all of your life?
What will
And
happen
will
is
believing this take you anywhere closer to your goals?
absolutely not. If I continue seeing it this way, I will never bring money into my life because I'll always think that there's a danger that I will appear a certain way and I don't want to do that or make anyone feel that way. And so, yeah, how will I let that in? Because I already don't want it to happen. So by saying I don't want that to happen, money as the vehicle will never enter my realm because that's going
There
to,
you go. You just tapped
yeah,
into that
we just went on
underlying
a journey.
you just tapped into that underlying programming. So even though the
Wow.
app is like, make money now, then the operating system is like, we're not capable of that. Like that doesn't happen in our world. The operating system does not allow you to get past a certain threshold of money. So you can purchase the app to go on top of that, but the app isn't going to work properly.
That's actually unreal. That's actually unreal. I feel like we could do a serious session here and but even that little like just
Perspective shift.
analysis. Yeah, that analysis about that and perspective of like, well, of course. And actually that's an unrealistic belief that like money, yes, of course, to a certain extent, money can be, can create a misuse of power. But if I truly believe that and I don't want to, fall victim to that, then I will never let money in.
Yeah, we can
Because
also think about how much good in the world has been created
from money.
because of having money and
Yeah.
find examples of that. And you can say, well, I'm going to be in that camp.
Yeah, I want to create good, and that's it. Yeah, like I mean, the philanthropy that happens around the world, or even the little gestures. It doesn't have to be on such a big scale.
Definitely. Like during
That's
COVID, one of the things that I shifted was to have money so that I could easily support local businesses. So that I wasn't needing to, I don't know, spend on Amazon all the time. I chose to, on purpose, always buy bread from the local bread shop, always buy fruit and veg from the local greengrocer, get my ready-made meals from the little supermarket that's down the road that's owned by one woman. It was a kind of way of, on a much smaller scale, of what I could do, like right there in the moment, to say, okay, I have money where other businesses have been shut down. So when they do get to operate, I'm going to purposely put my money towards those types of things, or, the little grandma at home making masks for COVID instead of
Rather,
buying the ones in bulk off that come from China or whatever. It just gives you a little bit more choice in terms of where you're going to direct that money flow.
that's such a good way to look at it. Yeah, seeing the positive aspects. And I think I and many people need to see that shift. And look, I had identified 4 different things that I need to go back now and, listen back to this and reapply the analysis that you gave me to change my perception and framing, because everything is framing at the end of the day. Like the frame that I'm looking through just happens to be quite a negative one, but other people like my sister have a much more positive framing. If my platform is down here, I can't expect that I'm going to jump very high. If your platform is up here, you can jump a lot higher, right? I think that that's exactly why I wanted to do this pod, because this is just one segment of many things. It's uncovering the emotional trauma, the cultural trauma, and it's not just trauma, it's just the layers. I think you use this analogy one, it's like an onion, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Of money beliefs or money stories. So we can pick up money stories from our family, from our community, from the groups that we hang out with, from society at large. And also, if we want to go into woo-woo land, we can pick up money stories from our ancestors that get carried down through DNA, or from past lives, or, any kind of spiritual energy around there. But one thing that's very practical is they do say that you become, the most similar to the 5 people that you hang out with the most. And so if you are spending more time with people who have a healthy relationship with money, or people who have a lot more wealth than, like a much higher level of wealth than you, and are just normal people, so they're not spending it extravagantly, but they're just doing smart things with money, that will automatically open your brain to going, oh, okay, if I had more money, I could also do smart things with that money. And I
yeah.
can see lots of examples of other people doing that. And so money isn't really that scary, actually. It's kind of cool. But if you are hanging out with a lot of people who always say, oh, I can't afford it, or, oh, I'm like paying for this on my overdraft, or, I can't go out with you for a beer this week. I need to wait till my payday next week. Then it's going to bring you and your money radar down to that level as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I mean, you are the company you keep. And that's why, you see when people go down a bit of a path of whatever, you usually see that the company they keep also reflects that. So, when people are trying to get away from a certain situation, and I'm going to use like drugs, alcohol, or whatever it might be, they move away from that group because that's the influence there, right? So you're so right. When people are aspirationally better with money, or they can bring more money in, you are surrounded by that. Now, I'm not going to, poop on my friends, but yeah, we tell ourselves the same story, and misery loves company, right? So then we sit here being like, oh, we don't have any, but isn't it fine? Oh, we can, it's that you're keeping that conversation alive.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting, but we will go into that more through this pod, through this season. And I definitely need to have you back, because I think we've just scratched the surface. But I want to thank you so much
Thank you very much,
for
CJ.
speaking to me today. During this pod, we're going to have a lot of people from different walks of life. We're going to have more people like you, people from woo land as well, because I do want to explore the ancestral, stuff. But also I want to talk a lot about financial literacy. I want to do more psychotherapy kind of work, anthropological, and also just talk to everyday people like myself, to show that I'm not alone, you're not alone, we're not alone, we are together, and we can only get better by working together and being open. So thank you so much for starting off this season.
Amazing. I'm really looking forward to the coming episodes as well.
Thank you so much, Melissa. It was great chatting with you.